G'day Binansians and welcome back to this week's Binance Beach. My name is Liam, I'm your host, and today I'm joined by the exceptional Rachel Conlan. She's our Global Chief Marketing Officer here at Binance. Welcome to the show, Rachel.
Hi Liam, thanks for having me.
It's been way too long. It's been 59 episodes that it's taken us to get you on. But yeah, it's great to have you. We had you at ACC last year and we'll definitely have you back out in the market soon. I know you had the chance to connect with heaps of our Aussie users here. And yeah, they'll be stoked to hear from you again. Today, we're going to talk about what makes Binance so special, why the 260 million users use this platform, which is just an incredible number. We're just that smidge shy of 300 million users, which is crazy. But before we go too much into Binance and why people love this brand so much, I'd love to hear when you first heard of Bitcoin. Where did this journey start for you?
I first heard about Bitcoin very early on in the journey. I had just moved to New York. As many Aussies do, an Irish person, I traveled abroad, but I was without a visa yet. I didn't have a bank account. I was trying to transfer euros into the US while I waited for it. And a friend of mine who was in innovation at Visa, who was the person in my world, in my community, that kind of always kept me abreast of what was kind of the new and latest kind of payment solutions, started sharing with me a little bit about Bitcoin and the fact that she'd bought a bottle of perfume on the blockchain, and this could be, you know, a solve to all of our issues for like cross-border transfers, for travel. You know, it would be one universal currency. And I was so fascinated at it because at that time I had a real issue with being able to kind of access my funds from Ireland in the US. Now, you know, fast forward a couple of months, I ended up getting my visa, I got my bank account, and I forgot all about it. I was then reintroduced to it again back in 2019. When I was doing a lot of work in the sports entertainment space, F1, you know, Premier League, some of the NBA, NFL were in my client base. And we had a lot of the big founders that were coming to us of the blockchain and crypto assets industry coming and asking for our help in terms of how we would drive mainstream adoption. So, you know, having a degree in economics and being someone who, while being Irish, traveled a lot, I kind of deep dived into it again. And that kind of really kicked off my understanding of how this is an idea where people anywhere in the world could have access to a financial system that didn't require permission. And that for me was just like a light bulb moment where, you know, from that moment on, I knew that, you know, I was going to jump full force into the industry.
I mean, we all have those light bulb moments on our journey, right? And for us, you know, it's become a passion, become part of what we work on every day, is literally trying to help other people around the world have that light bulb moment. This is a huge question, but I think it's a good one to ask you. What makes somebody in any place around the world sign up for Binance? What's that trigger?
So as you mentioned at the top end, we're about to hit 300 million users, and that's across nearly 180 markets. So obviously there's a huge variety of different reasons why people sign up for us, from kind of hyperinflation, maybe in a market like Turkey, to being able to do cross-border payments in a market like Kenya. Like the use cases, you know, really run the gamut in the space. But if I can distill it down to three main reasons why people sign up for Binance from the research that we've done, I would distill it into, firstly, trust, secondly, you know, simplicity, and thirdly, access. So, you know, from my discussions, from anecdotally and from the kind of quantitative and qualitative research we've done, our users want a platform that's safe, that's easy to use, you know, from a UX, UI perspective, but also offers depth. And what I mean by depth, it means that whether you're a newbie or whether you're more sophisticated, when you are ready to explore more, you've got a platform that's able to offer you everything from holding and earning or trading or payments. You know, and I think that's one of the reasons why Binance has such loyalty is, you know, we really kind of tick all those boxes. And ultimately we help reduce barriers and we make crypto feel less intimidating.
And on top of that, right, there's this brand that's been built. Like Binance is such a young brand. It was launched in 2017, and yet, you know, I'll turn up to the Australian Crypto Convention next weekend and we'll have thousands of people swarm our booth. around the world, we have such an incredible, passionate, loyal community and fan base almost. Like sometimes it feels like you're wearing a football jersey when you wear this shirt at events or in public. What is it that makes this Binance brand so loved by our community?
I agree with you fully, Liam. I was blown away when I first started understanding Binance's kind of position, not just, as a utility, but in the hearts and minds of our users and our community. Like it blew me away. And having worked in sports, and I know you're obviously a big athlete, I would liken it to what you see sports fans with that love and loyalty, and the fact they follow us in volatile times to following us when we're winning. Like it's incredible. But again, I think the two main things that have been so integral to building that brand love and building that loyalty are, one is community, and secondly is consistency. So we show up online, offline, we show up in local markets, not just with marketing campaigns or, initiatives to try and acquire you. We really want to become a navigator for you in this industry. So it's education, it's workshops, it's real customer service support. And I think our value of user obsession and relentless focus on the user really comes to life in terms of how we listen, how we act on the insights and feedback we get, and how we continue to build on that. And I do feel like we're very lucky, and we need to keep working at this, but we're not just a platform. We really, because of our users, are this kind of community movement, which is something that, I'm always very proud to have inherited, the role of ensuring that we continue to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And how user focused this business is, and how from a top level, like, the founder, Yi, is still really involved in the marketing department, especially in the way that she has this user obsession and jumps into meetings saying, what can we do? How can we solve this problem? She really gets into the weeds, and that's phenomenal to watch when this business has such scale, but has such a micro focus sometimes as well. That's really cool to be a part of. At a global level, sorry, you go.
It's phenomenal. And one thing that that also is cascaded down to our leaders. We do a day of customer service training a month where, if you're having an issue, you could be speaking to any one of our management or our leadership team. And I love that, because that keeps me close to the mindset and the insights of our users, and how we need to respond, how we need to be continuously improving ourselves. And I agree with you. It cascades down from the top and is really driven from our leadership, our executive leadership team.
I can't wait to have someone from the community share their CS chat with Rachel. That's going to absolutely crack me up. At a global level, we talk about 1 billion users for Binance. What are we doing at a global level to make that happen?
Look, 1 billion users, just to kind of unpack that a little, that's really where, 1 in 8 people around the world will be using crypto, and hopefully using Binance. That's
a lofty goal.
300 million now, but everyone's like, where's the other 700 million? So that's what keeps me up at night. But I think in order to do that, we're continuing to double down on what we've done in the past, just doing that in a more localized way. So our focus is education. Our focus is how we make our platform more accessible, and also how we focus on real world utility. We do not need to educate people on the technology of blockchain. We need to educate people on the value to them, and why why my father, my sister, or my brother, who's more sophisticated trader, should be engaging with this platform. So we are looking across, lots of different channels in terms of how we do that. We're investing heavily in education. One example of that is not just when we show up at events physically or, at the Australian Crypto Convention next week, it's also through Binance Academy. We had 49 million people participate in Binance Academy last year. And just to those, that are listening that may not be aware what that is, think of that like a masterclass platform where you can go and avail of tutorials and seminars and playbooks on everything from, what is Bitcoin and who is Satoshi, to much deeper trading fundamentals. And we're also constantly looking at how we can act as a bridge to the Web2 community. Ways in which we do that is partnering with cultural icons like CR7 or Jack Robinson in Australia, so that we can spark mainstream interest and use them as a way to connect emotionally with users who may be kind of interested but not willing to take that first step in. But we're also continuing to work with the most loved, Web2 brands globally. We just rolled out MasterCard, our MasterCard partnership in Brazil, and that will scale globally soon. And on that point, we're also looking at how we build products, from a crypto perspective that really make us part of everyday life. So from Binance Pay to Learn and Earn, to more broadly our Web3 wallet. And I think that's what gets really exciting about this space is, that route to the next billion users isn't through one or two initiatives. It's going to be through a 360 approach to how we are relevant, going back to like why people sign up, on why people want to be in the space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I spent the last 4 years obsessed with crypto, spending my full-time job and my hobby working in this industry. And I still use Binance Academy all the time to deep dive on stuff that I need to learn more about. And then, just the integration of crypto into your everyday life and into everything that you can do with money. That is such an exciting opportunity. And we've got all this work to do to build those bridges and blur those lines to the point where, people aren't thinking of fiat and crypto, people are just living on Bitcoin standards or BNB standards and able to do that for, the long term without any friction at all. In terms of the local initiatives, we've been pushing really hard on product in Australia, and we've got heaps of cool stuff coming up. We recently had our first Launchpool, which was the KITE token that went live last Saturday, and we had a bunch of users jump in and opt in for that. That's such a great product if you're just holding BNB in a spot wallet to go ahead and utilize those funds.
It's so brilliant. And Launchpool is one of our most loved products globally. And like users can just earn new tokens by simply like staking assets they already hold. So there's no trading or complexity involved in there. And I was really excited specifically to launch KITE as Australia's first Launchpool. It's a big milestone. And I think, the success of it really shows how strong, curious, and engaged the Australian community is. So we're very excited to have some very big product announcements and innovations coming in the next couple of months, which, Liam, I've no doubt you will be sharing on this.
Absolutely. I'll be doing product walkthroughs. I'll be taking you guys exactly through how we can, exactly use crypto to blur the lines and use that as your everyday money. So that's super cool. Any closing thoughts on the Aussie market before we wrap up, Rachel, and I let you go?
Being an Irish person, I'm a big fan of Australia and Australians, and I would say it's arguably sophisticated and kind of high intent markets that we operate in. And we know that the expectation is that we deliver at a very high level. The community here is already educated on, financial literacy and also not afraid to experiment. So, from my perspective at a global level and working with Liam, you and the broader local team with Matt, with James, with everyone, what we want to do is make sure we're focusing on more education to make this industry and on our product more accessible to more. We want to work on more local partnerships, but with sports entertainment and also from the Web2 perspective. And ultimately, we want to understand what the Australian community wants in order to really ensure we are bringing that real world utility to make crypto a part of everyday life. So, I'm very excited, and Australia is a leading market already in this industry globally, and I expect a lot more in terms of what we're going to be able to deliver in the coming months.
Thank you so much for your time, Rachel. It's always great to catch up. Actually, on a side note, I made it to Ireland this year, so I'll have to tell you about that when we catch up. And I didn't tell you, but I'll have to tell you all about that next time we get the chance to chat.
Where did you surf? Did you surf?
Yeah, I did. I got to Bundoran and hung around Donegal and Sligo, which was...
I'm very impressed. I did Spanish Point this summer. So I'm not as good a surfer as Liam, for anyone who knows Liam, but I'll attempt. I'm trying to get back to Australia and get on a board with him soon.
The point of surfing is to put a smile on your dial. So whoever's having the most fun is the best surfer. That's what I always say. Thanks so much for your time, Rachel. And as always, great to catch up. Have a great week, Binance. We'll catch you soon.
So much. Bye now.
Please note that this discussion includes insights from non-affiliated third parties and key opinion leaders. Binance provides this platform for informational and educational purposes only and is not responsible for any content or insights provided. This information should not be considered as financial, tax, or investment advice from Binance. DYOR Binance.